Hello, everybody. Dr. K with you for our first Medical Aspects Zoom session. And this is being recorded for those that can't physically attend at the moment. So how's everybody doing? Hello. Can everybody hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's kind of a lonely job. I hope is there anybody that's also in my other class, inclusion?
It's my college class that I'm in for masters.
Oh, hi.
They can't hear me.
Hi.
They can hear me too.
Yeah, I can hear you. And who are you? I'm sorry.
I'm also helping with summer school at my school, so I'm with
Double dipping, eh?
Yeah, I'm with my 4th through 7th graders.
Hello.
Oh.
And what's your name?
Sarah Bathke.
Oh, hi, Sarah. And where are you?
Santee, Nebraska.
Where is that?
Northeast Nebraska.
Hi.
Niobrara.
One of your little friends?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, anybody, welcome to Medical Aspects, everybody. I'm going to start off with, I'm hoping that I don't have anybody in my other class, but I'm going to probably repeat myself a little bit. But anyway, let me share my screen, if I can figure it out. And that means I can get rid of this. And I need this. There we go. Okay. Do you guys like my Bitmoji classroom?
Except
Okay.
Oregon.
Has anybody, what?
I said except the Oregon.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, would it have been better if I had Oregon State? Would it have been better if I had the Huskers?
Probably.
Oh, they don't have a football. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'm sorry. Anyway, so I guess you already played my favorite song, huh?
Yep.
Okay, I'll leave you alone on that. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask me whatever questions you have on the class before I get started.
Is module 2 opening today? Because it wouldn't open for me earlier.
It's open.
Did it just open?
I believe it's been open for a couple hours.
It's open because I
Okay.
just looked into it. So it
Oh,
wasn't,
good.
but it is now.
I got a lot of stuff to get done.
I think it's a reasonable amount for a week, which is really like 4 weeks during a term. Some of them are like the ones that you had with NASCET, where you take get a certificate. Some you make some kind of content creation. Who else has any questions on the course?
I have one.
Yes.
If we are doing the paper for the main project, I can't talk. Project, do we need to have that okayed with you if it's the paper?
For the graduate assignment?
Yeah.
Not okayed with me. If you want some advice, you want to answer a question.
Yeah, I didn't know. It said
Are medications indicated for children with ADHD? I don't know. Or are there strategies that can help children learn to read in the 3rd grade? Whatever your question is.
okay, I just didn't know if it needed to be okayed.
No, I trust you. But I'm here for advice. I have nowhere to go, and I haven't been anywhere for 3 months. So
I have a question as far as, could you give us an example of, besides the paper, you had the option of like another project. Could you give me an example of a project that would fit that graduate requirement other than the paper?
Yeah, a really well-developed 5-minute video PowerPoint presentation. Perhaps your own infographic. But you got to cite things at the bottom of that.
What about like a Prezi?
A Prezi, beautiful, wonderful.
Okay.
Much better, more fun to grade than a paper.
Yeah, I don't feel like writing another paper, to be honest.
Well, you know, the paper, you know,
Sorry, I'm
I
old
would like to encourage those of you who plan on going on and getting your terminal degree that a paper might be more useful to you. But if you don't have that intention, at least at the moment, a project is probably a more useful thing.
So is Google Slides okay?
Sure,
Or would- well,
absolutely.
then, like, how long are you looking for something like that? Like, how many slides would it be?
About 5 minutes. You know, in a presentation, I try to make it a practice and not have hardly any words in my PowerPoints. You don't want to write a book in your PowerPoint, you know? A
Yeah.
lot comes from what you say verbally. So I think 5 minutes is pretty much at most of our attention spans nowadays.
So, question, as far as with like a PowerPoint, if I did like an intellectual disabilities and the medical aspects that contribute to that intellectual disabilities, would that qualify for project, or do you want it more
Well,
specific?
could you repeat the question though?
The question was, if I had a PowerPoint presentation on intellectual disabilities and the medical aspects that contribute to that.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Could we turn in the project, I don't know, a few days ahead of time to get like feedback from you?
Sure.
Okay.
But I've seen your work, Taylor. You're fine. You're going to be fine.
Thanks.
Oh, any other questions on the course? I want to alert you to something that you won't see with your naked eye today because it's blocked out. What I want you to know a little about next week module. And next week's module, it's all practical problem solving, except for one introductory section on the process of children being identified. So you do a problem solving activity, you can read a
How are we? I gotta see how bad it is in here. They moved anything yet?
hello? Somebody not muted?
No.
Okay, so on the problem solving activities coming up, you're gonna have a scenario you're gonna read about. And then you're gonna answer some questions on the scenario on what about the student and what you would do for the student. And then you're gonna submit your answer. So for example, you're gonna come across a problem solving activity. You're going to read the case. You're going to answer the questions on the kid, and then you're going to submit your answer. And after you submit your answer, you're gonna see what I wrote or said about the case. And then you're going to reply one more time with a reflection on my feedback, maybe how it compared to what you initially thought. But you won't see my response until you reply. So I just wanted to alert you to the problem-solving process. And that's something I'm going to mention, I want to talk a little bit about today. So before I go on, are there any questions? Is everybody still here? Okay. Still lonely, don't forget that. Okay, so let me get to my PowerPoint. I got a little PowerPoint for you. How do I do that? I have to, if I escape, wait.
Stop sharing that screen and then share your other screen.
New share, oh, like that. No, but that's not. Is that it? Yes. Wait. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Thank you. So let me talk about how special ed is implemented in our schools. And I don't know, can you guys see the picture here without, I don't see myself, that's not important. But can you see the
I
screen?
see you now.
And you can hear me, right?
And see you.
Huh?
We
I don't
can't
see the
hear-
PowerPoint. I see you.
Oh, okay. Let me get back. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, let me try one more thing here. Let's try presenter view. And now, how's that? Is that better?
Same. It was up, but then it went to you.
Okay, let me try one more time. Share screen. I just,
It's going. There it goes.
is that good? Okay, now we got both, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, let me, all right, I got all kinds of junk over here in my desk. Okay, so one thing about special ed in America is it's the same on every corner. It's the same from the tip of Washington State to the bottom of Florida. On every school district implements special education in the same way. The federal law is very strong, much stronger than many other aspects of education. So one thing, if you're a teacher in one state, you know what they're doing in the other state because they're doing the same thing. And in special education, and as opposed to, I go to Thailand 2 to 3 times a year before we had COVID, and they have a central ministry of education, but special ed is really not, you know, there's a little special ed here and there, but it's not uniform across the country like it is in America. We do special ed really well here. So one thing is, if you're going to be teachers, and you might be a special ed teacher or you might not, but one thing you need to understand is that general education has the largest responsibility in the process, because if general education is done correctly, we only going to have about 5% of children requiring special education. So in a classroom, you're going to notice a kid has a problem. You're going to identify a problem with the kid. You'll notice the kid needs something. Anywhere from he doesn't read well, maybe it doesn't seem like he's been taken care of at home, maybe he doesn't seem like he hears you, whatever it is, you notice there's a problem and you try to do something about it. But what you don't do right away is put the kid in special ed, test the kid for special ed. You try things. You try things on your own. You talk to the teacher. You refer to your problem-solving team. And maybe 3 months later, that team might decide to test the kid for special ed after you've tried a few interventions. But most things can be taken care of by general ed. Now, if the kid comes to you and they got one eye in the middle of their forehead, don't wait 3 months. That doesn't happen as much as it used to in terms of, you know, this is a first world country in most cases. And so children generally with severe problems are identified long before they get to school in America, maybe not in Thailand. So after 3 months and the problem persists, the child might be tested for special ed. Hang on. So after the child gets tested, you have an IEP meeting, and the child either gets in or goes back to general ed for their responsibility. No eligible. No eligibility. If they get in, then you have the IEP meeting. You make the child eligible under one of like 13 categories, anywhere from LD, learning disabled, to other health impaired, developmentally delayed, visual, whatever. And then you got to decide what to do about it. So you have your IEP meeting, and you make your goals, and then you implement the service. The IEP is written, and the day after the meeting, you implement the service. The kid maybe goes to a resource room, or maybe the kid gets speech, or maybe the student gets a fully inclusive classroom, whatever. And then you regularly make sure, when you send report cards home, the kid gets a progress report on how they're doing in their SPED goals, in their special ed goals. And once a year or more, you have an annual IEP meeting. And then every 3 years, you have to do the whole eligibility process all over again. Unless, in more severe cases, there's little chance that the child won't be eligible again, like with an intellectual disability. And I talked really fast, but what I wanted to get across was two things. One, that special ed is very uniform in our country. And two, most of the responsibility falls with general ed. And you don't just immediately test the kid the first bad day they have. So who has something they'd like to add to the conversation?
I guess one thing that I would add just in my experience at elementary level is we always find it interesting that the parent is definitely part of that decision, but sometimes we get to the point where the parents are requesting testing before necessarily the team would come to that decision. And sometimes how the district handles that is interesting because obviously by law, they had to follow through with that. But that's
I was able to, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was able to, as the SPED person, to write a note to that parent saying, I've reviewed your request, but testing is not indicated at this time because your child is above grade level or something like that. That was a legal thing. That you can't do that anymore?
Well, at our district, I know that we've had situations where we've had parents request it and they will follow through with it no matter if they think that it's unnecessary testing or not.
Well,
just to...
there's politics. I don't mean like Democrat politics. There's school politics. And some people are more powerful politically than others are. So sometimes you got to, as a teacher, don't tell you I said this even though it's being recorded. You got to sometimes resort to devious tactics to do good deeds. So that means like sometimes the parents. Now I never. All of my students were in downtown Los Angeles. I never had a Caucasian student. Mine were all 99% English language learners or African American, and they were all children of poverty, essentially. And the parents trusted us. That's not always a good thing, to do the right thing for their kid, but sometimes the teacher was in the way, the regular classroom teacher. And I was the SPED person. So I would have to get on the parents' good side, say, you need to ask the principal for this, this, and this. So before the IEP meeting, I would try to work it a little bit. Okay, but don't tell anybody. It's too late now anyway, but, or you might have to work the general ed teacher because the parents said, no, my kid doesn't need any help. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's some of that going on. Anybody else?
We had a lot more parent requests this year due to a particular counselor, private counselor in town that went back into practice and kept telling parents that they needed to have their kid on an IEP. So we had probably 30-ish parent requests this year that we would not normally have.
Wow. You know, we never had that problem in the inner city. You know, I don't think the parents were, you know, they were all busy with just trying to survive, I think. And they had those problems on the west side in Los Angeles, I hear. They bring their advocate to the IEP meeting with the lawyer, you know.
Right.
And, I bring my union representative. No, I'm just kidding. But
It happened.
you guys know what a union is, right? You heard of union? It's a
Yeah.
LA thing that I used to belong to. We don't have unions in Nebraska, I don't think. So,
We have teachers union.
yeah, good luck with it. But no, I didn't mean that. Yes, I did. You know, because I came from LA where we had a strike for 10 days in '89, and we were always fighting the administration. And Nebraska teachers are treated better. Administrators are more kinder than the military people I worked under for 25 years in Los Angeles. So I want to tell you a little bit of, I want to give you a problem to solve, okay? Here it is. Here's Susan. And I use this exercise with my Thai people. Susan's a 9-year-old child who is entering school for the first time. She's a friendly but very quiet child. She can't even read or write her first name. But she shows no signs of intellectual disability. Because like she can do things at home that are age appropriate. You can tell. There's a light there. There's no intellectual disability. Okay. So what can we do? What can be done to help Susan? Let me ask the first question.
We have a thing called an SAT team, which is a student achievement team. That would be our first step is,
Right, your problem solving team.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. So there's your RTI team, same thing. We called it SAT. They call it RTI now. Some people call it
That.
MTSS. You know, some people call it a circle of friends or whatever. The point is, and this is the best work that's done in schools. I love student study team, students SAT, student study team, another one that solve problems. And the first thing we do is we always begin with strength. You know, because the parents heard enough bad news, and it's a good way to do it. So, but okay, so what would Susan's strength be?
That she can do age appropriate things at home.
All right, that might be one. What's another one?
She is happy and seems to enjoy being at school.
Be friendly, right? I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, sometimes you got to make up the strength. Just like, oh, I just love the way your child is good every once in a while. No, but seriously, sometimes you got to make it up because you're ready to kill the parent. No, I mean, not seriously, but kinda. So, or the kid. So sometimes you got to make up the strength. You got to say something positive right away. Then you get to the real reason you're meeting. Area of concern. What's a concern for Susan?
can't write her first name.
Any others?
She
Isn't
might be
able
a
to read.
She's a non-reader. I don't know how her math is, but I would imagine it's probably pretty bad. Okay. All right. What else? I'm thinking one more.
maybe that she's shy.
Okay.
That could be good or bad.
All right. Maybe socially shy, whatever. Questions. What do you want to know about this 9-year-old?
What has she been doing at home?
Where the hell has she been?
Yep.
Where has she? Well, she was either in a village in Mexico or maybe a hill tribe in Thailand, or perhaps she's a Muslim in China, not doing well, or maybe she comes from some homeless drug family in Chicago. I have no idea.
Right.
But for whatever reason, she has never been to school. What other questions would you like to know?
Does she have siblings?
Okay. Well, it just so happens that she does. I'm making this up. And they're not school age yet. One is 3, one is 4, but get ready, they're coming.
Well,
Then
is there
you
any
question
medical-
if she's raising them too.
Yeah, who is taking care of them? What are the parents' skills like? Are the parents illiterate as well? Do they need parent training? Of course.
Is there a language deficit as far as like, does she speak another language?
Right. And one time, many, many years ago, I had a kid who we got into Spanish reading because he was from Mexico. But it turned out he didn't speak Spanish. It was Mayan. And we didn't have a Mayan reading program. So then we put him in English because if Mayan is the language, English was indicated. Okay, so we asked a bunch of questions. Okay, so solutions. Can we test this child for special ed?
Not
You
yet.
can, but you probably shouldn't yet.
What's wrong with the kid? There's no disability.
Yeah.
Poor is not a disability, right?
Right.
So forget about SPED. Now what?
ELO.
Set up interventions.
If you have an ELL program and this child, it would be easy if this child spoke the language of the dominant culture in the ELL program. I'm not going to let it be that easy. What else can you do?
Build a relationship to see if it's also just a cultural thing where
Maybe a buddy kid
Yeah.
or a girl, a little girl, a buddy girl or something like that, right?
or even, I mean, I'm a title teacher and a lot of times students come to my room and what I see in a
Yeah,
small
you can
group,
do them too because that's not SPED, right?
right.
And you could
But I
anyway if you were SPED. Or nobody mentioned what's the 2 words that we use and differentiate instruction, right? We would. If there's a 3rd grade kid. Would you use 3rd grade material with this kid in your room?
No.
You know, it used to be principals were so stupid, and many of them still are, that, I'm not talking about Nebraska, I'm talking about California, that they would say, don't you dare use 4th grade material in a 3rd grade room. Don't you dare use 2nd grade material in a 3rd grade room. But we already know that doesn't work. In an average 5th grade classroom, you have 10 years of you have some kids who are barely learning to read and some kids who are like high school readers in a 5th grade room. So you got to differentiate. So this is an exercise that maybe send a kid to a kindergarten room to help, quote unquote, right? Get some of those skills that she missed, right? Or a 1st grade room, depending on when literacy starts. A kindergarten room to start with. You can do those things without testing for special ed. Maybe in a year, Susan becomes 10 and she still can't read at all, then you think about special ed. Make sense? Taylor? Okay. Questions, comments?
Well, I would just say that we had a student that was similar to this where they came in 2nd grade, barely able to read and communicate. And it turned out that she came from Chicago and it was just a matter of trauma and culturally she was told, do not speak, like just basically be quiet, especially around adults because of protecting what was happening at home. And she came into my title room, and when she felt safe, we built a relationship. We realized that it was a choice for her. It was a protective choice for her not to share what she did or didn't know. And eventually it turned out that she was on grade level. But how she presented at first was, we thought for sure she was going to end up in the SPED program. But just over time, she felt comfortable enough to show what she really knew it was and what she could do. So it was interesting for us as a team to say our first indication wasn't even close to what actually was happening with that little girl. So
God,
it's always interesting puzzle.
it would have been horrible what was happening too, huh? And sometimes it is. I could tell you stories, but I won't. One story, one not so dirty, bad story is a teacher sends a kid to me, 4th grade kid, this is like 30 years ago. This kid can't do anything. So I screened the kid. And I come back to the teacher and said, this kid's on grade level in Spanish. Right? Sometimes we test them in the wrong language. Then we incarcerate them eventually. So, any questions? Anybody want to talk about anything else before we go to lunch? You guys get your money's worth today? It's okay? I even changed my shirt for the occasion.
There you go.
If you guys need anything, let me know. I believe our next Zoom session is 2 weeks from today. Okay? And I put a little reflection thing on the Zoom session.
What do you mean? We have to go
What?
like on the discussion board or something?
I don't think it's a discussion thing. It's close to me, I believe. Because if you say anything bad, I don't want anybody else to see it.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. I recorded it for everybody else who can't be here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
My pleasure. How do I do?